Hello and welcome to Reel Film Snobs. I'm Angela Yeager and I am pleased to have with me back on the show Autumn Edwards. Welcome to the show, Autumn.
Hello, I'm back.
And Autumn, and this was Autumn's idea. I'm going to blame her first off the bat. So this is our Gore Galore episode. So if you don't like gore, well, you can still watch this show just because you want to look at the two of us, but you probably won't like any of these movies. I do like gore, maybe not as much as Autumn, but I have specific things I'm looking for in a super gory, crazy movie. And when we're talking about gore, I think for the most part, we can say that the four movies we're about to review, this isn't like modern day CGI blood. Oh, no, 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 dear children. We want the real stuff. We want practical effects. We want squishy,
I
ooey
want it to
gooey
feel
blood.
nasty. I want it to
Yeah.
feel grimy,
Yeah, it's not
Yeah.
blood that's been computer generated that someone threw on a screen, and yes, you can tell the difference. If you're out there and you watch mostly newer movies, watch some of these, you'll know what we're talking about. It needs to feel tactile. A real good horror movie should feel like someone really needed to take several showers after they made this movie.
Mhm.
So let's start it off. Autumn picked all four of these. I had not seen any of them. So I watched all of these for the first time in like a 2 week period, much to the chagrin of my husband, who does not like gore and kept walking in and going, oh no, and then walking right back out again. So we'll start off with our first one. I don't remember why we ordered them so weirdly, but this is our first one, Tokyo
You
Gore
ordered them.
Police.
I didn't
I
order
don't know
them.
why I did it this way. We could have gone chronologically, but we didn't. I don't know. So we start off with Tokyo Gore Police from 2008. I'm going to let you say the director's name later. It's a science fiction horror film featuring a vengeful police officer named Ruka. Do I say that one right at least?
Yeah.
Who battles mutant creatures known as engineers in a dystopian Tokyo. So it's a cult favorite. I had never seen it before. It's not too hard to find. It's on Tubi, everybody's favorite free app that you see with commercials that just randomly has crazy movies like this. And this was, I think, the second one I watched. I didn't watch them in order so I watched this one after watching Meatball Machine, which we'll get to in a minute, which I didn't like as much, but I really enjoyed this one, in part because I was super excited when the actress who plays Ruka came up, because she's also in one of my favorite Japanese movies called Audition, which is a truly great horror film. And so when I saw her, I was like, ooh, she's a badass. This is going to be good. And what I liked about this is she's battling these mutant creatures, but then eventually the other guys battling them, the police, are also bad guys. And so there's a nice theme here of like, there's not really anybody that's good because the engineers are bad, but so are the police. This kind of like privatized police force that have come up that just basically do whatever they want, because they use this as an excuse to break the law and hurt innocent civilians as well who are not engineers. So I liked the themes of the movie, and it's got some great effects. So tell
Mhm.
me why you chose this movie, Autumn.
So we didn't even talk about what engineers are, though. So
Okay, go ahead.
engineers are people that when they get hurt, like if their arm gets chopped off, for example, then a weapon will grow from that stump of an arm. And so they get more powerful by getting delimbed and hurt and, going through all this nastiness. So I think that's a really fun thing. Also, I chose these movies in general because I just love blood. I'm someone who, like, when I'm watching a film and they use a little squib, I'm like, that's fine, that's cute. But why use a squib when you can use like a high pressure hose and like shoot out, thousands of gallons of blood? That's what I want. And these movies really come through with that, and I adore them for that. I think just picture the hallway or the elevator scene in The Shining where just like all that tidal wave of blood comes out, but it's the whole runtime of the film. That's what I want, and these movies deliver. Tokyo Gore Police is so great because not only does it have incredible special effects and lots of blood, but it's very, very creative. Like all the different weapons and things that grow from people are super, super fun. Like one guy grows like two little like gun, barrels from his eyeballs after ripping off the top of his head. And then he shoots like little meat dart things out
Yeah.
of it. And like, there's a guy that grows like a chainsaw arm and there's, all these like really fun, wild things. And beyond all that, which is super fun in the main draw, there is also that critique of, the police state and everything, which is fun. It's very much a satire in the vein of something like um, Starship Troopers, right? Or
Hmm.
like, yeah, where it's not beating you over the head with it, but it's certainly present. And I love all the world building that they do, where it's like not only do they talk about the Tokyo Police Corporation as all these police departments are being, made into private companies, but also like the commercials and things that they just intersperse throughout the movie build a really fun world for you. Like you just see commercials of teenage girls they're like selling like basically box cutters and they're like, look how good it can cut your wrists. They're so cute. This one's a dolphin. Like it's so much fun. It's very glib and like it is again though a critique of the culture we fostered where we glorify violence and we're so like inured to it that it's become like just entertainment.
Yeah.
And it does have its cake and eat it too because it's certainly, partaking in the joy and etc. But I just think it's so great. And it's very funny too. Like it
Yes,
is a
that's what I
very
like.
funny film.
I feel, and this is, we'll get to this when we talk about our next movie, but I feel like humor in a lot of ways is what essential to, for me, my personal taste. Everyone's different in what they want from a splatter movie or a gory movie, but I really think humor makes or breaks a movie because at some point it's so ridiculous. Like if it starts to take itself too seriously, I was just like, come on. I mean, you and I did an episode a while back about, some of these adaptations of monster movies that take like themselves way too seriously. I feel like a movie like this, if it's trying to be, I mean, this has the thing with the police state, but it's still having a lot of fun. There's a lot of black humor in it. I feel like that's essential. It's one of the reasons I
Hmm.
feel like Australians and New Zealand culture are particularly good at these kind of movies because they already have a whacked out sense of humor and it translates really well. So, yeah, we'll get to that in a bit. But yeah, I think I liked that Tokyo Gore Police had a bit of its tongue firmly in cheek through many of the
Hmm.
sequences.
And if you're well versed in like pop culture, particularly like Japanese pop culture as well, it's really fun to see the influences that this movie draws from. Like the police uniforms and things are so clearly inspired by the works of like Mamoru Oshii, who did like Ghost in the Shell and Pat Labor, and Jinro, the Wolf Brigade, or that whole set of movies. But like that style of armor, where it's like very much inspired by a number of things like samurai armor, but also like, the Axis powers and World War II and everything. I don't know, it's a very distinct look and, it's used for great effect in this film. There's a little bit of like video game influence, like in the beginning of the movie, she does what's called a rocket jump, where she points a rocket launcher down at the ground and then uses the blowback to like jump up to the top of a building and things. It's just having a lot of fun. Like I think it uses its influences really, really well here. It's
A
a
little bit
joy
like
to
anime in
watch.
that way. It's not meant
Yeah.
to be realistic, and so it's like live action anime, I
Hmm.
think.
Which I
Yeah.
think is one of the defining features of, like many of these movies we're going to review here, and what makes them great is when they embrace the fact that like this is obviously not real life. Let's go full ridiculous. Let's go
Right.
as insane and far as we can.
Yeah, it's like live action cartoons, if you will,
Hmm.
not just anime. Although a lot of the films we're reviewing are Japanese because Autumn picked them. Not, we'd have one, I would say they're all cartoonish in a way. So let's move on to the next one because this is
Hmm.
the one I have the most critiques of.
Yeah. So the next one is Meatball Machine. Came out in 2005, which is important to note because that's 3 years before Tokyo Gore Police. It's directed by two directors, Yudai Yamaguchi and Junichi Yamamoto. But I bring up it's the reason I chose this film is I think it is probably the weakest of the set of films that we're going to review here today. But it's very influential. It was one of the films that really kicked off the splatter movement in Japan at that time. Like it was made on no budget, and you can definitely see that. But the effects are still very impressive. I think they do some wonderful things, like with creature prosthetics, and they're similar to the engineers, where these people just get like insane weapons growing out of their bodies and things. I guess I should talk about the story a little bit too before we go into that. Not much
Story.
to it. Yeah, we can almost glide right past that because there's not much to it. Basically, there are like aliens or something, I guess, that are coming to Earth, and they like infect a host and then turn them into like these killing machines. And their whole goal is to fight each other and then like kind of eat each other, which I guess makes them stronger or something. And at the end of the movie, there's like, another layer added to the story, but it's kind of neither here nor there. It's just like a little bit of intrigue about what is prompting all this. Um, but this movie is, I think, still a lot of fun. I already know your critiques before you even say them, Angela, and I think I'm going to agree with them.
How do
But
you know my critiques? You don't know
as
me that well.
I know you.
What do you think are my critiques then?
You're going to
This will be
say
great.
that
I don't have to do the show anymore. Autumn can do both my parts. I'll just sit here and drink
the
coffee. It's awesome.
story is weak. There is not much of a story. It is a love story, though, which I think is fun. I think that's a different aspect to take into a movie like this. It's not the best love story. It's not super well fleshed out. None of the characters are very interesting. It's this like weak, effete guy who like can't stand up for himself, and then eventually, he's able to, do that with the power of the alien taking over his body, and he fights the girl he loves, and et cetera, et cetera. We're not here for that. We're not here for that. We're here for gallons and gallons of blood, which it does deliver, and I think it's a lot of fun. I really enjoy the fight at the end. I think it's very creative in some of the things they do there. Um, I do like the love story aspect. I know it's not super well fleshed out, but I just think it's a fun, interesting aspect that movies like these don't really tackle. But let me hear what you think about the movie.
Oh, I thought you were going to tell me what else I didn't like about it. I was waiting. Yeah,
Um,
the characters are definitely one of it. I really didn't like the look of it. We talked about that a little bit. 2005, it's shot on digital and it looks like crappy digital. It's not
it's
like a
made on a
cool.
$10 budget.
I
Okay, we
know,
can.
but there's still ways to make a movie look good. I'm sorry, but it just like it just looked. It was very flat. The colors, even with the amount of gore, you would think it would. It was very like gray and flat looking to me, and I felt like a lot of the kills weren't that interesting. That was the other thing. It was kind of the same thing. I actually started to doze off a little bit, which is like kind of saying something in a movie like this where people are getting annihilated left and right. It just kind of it's I just thought, okay, that's another one with the chainsaw. Okay, that's another one with the it was just like it felt very repetitive. Unlike Tokyo Gore Police, I felt like they mixed up the types of weapons and the types of kills more, and there was just more fluidity to it. I know that's a higher budget movie, but still, like I felt like there could have been more inventiveness in even if they can't vary the look of it a lot. I kept thinking like, oh, if the Ferris family did this, they would have like set designed this sequence in this parking garage, so at least there's something visually behind you to look at. Like it just besides the effects of the actual gore, the surroundings were not interesting. And so that was one of my critiques. I found it a little bit boring in parts, to be honest. So
Hey, and I think those are fair. Like I said, I'm not going to disagree with you there. I
I
think
like
I'm
sense
just
of humor in these movies too. And this one takes itself kind of seriously. Like it's not very funny. And that was another problem I
But it
had with
doesn't
it.
take itself too seriously. Like I think it's not like winking at itself as much as something like Tokyo Gore Police, but it's also very aware that it's just a splatter film. Like these directors, they just set out wanting to make something that was extreme and like full of blood, which they did. And again, this one I really only included because we don't get Tokyo Gore Police without this movie. This was a
Yeah.
very influential film, and like it really started a new wave of splatter films, and I have to appreciate it for its place in
Yeah. I can see
cinema.
that. Um, I just wondered if there was any other way they could have made it more visually interesting. But yeah, I get it. Although you wouldn't have this movie without Tetsuo the Iron Man, right? So it's like,
100%. Yeah, 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 yeah. But Tetsuo is not as much of a splatter film. Like it doesn't have as much
no,
explicit
but this
blood,
movie
but
reminded me a lot
certainly.
of it, though.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, no, it's absolutely indebted to Tetsuo, as are,
But that one was
so
shot on
many
film and
things.
looked awesome. So,
Well,
um,
Shinya Tsukamoto is in a different level of, directing. He's a fantastic director, whereas I think these guys are kind of, well, yeah, they're not awful, but it's whatever. Tsukamoto is just unique.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, I love the look of Iron Man. I just think that movie if that one also doesn't have that interesting of a story, but it's just so cool. The grain of the film. Like I would rather see something on like really crappy film than I would
Hmm.
on crappy digital. So like even if
Hmm.
they had no money and they could make it on like Super 8, I'd rather see that, honestly.
The
So
film
that's
is more expensive.
I know. Well, yeah, now. Anyway,
Yeah.
okay, let's move on to our next one.
All right. So our next film is called Riki-Oh, The Story of Riki. Came out in 1991. So this is our earliest film that we're going to be discussing here today. It's directed by Nai-Choi. Probably didn't pronounce that correctly, but in any case, it's basically the story of Ricky, who is put into prison, and he is extremely strong. And that's about the sum of it. There are a lot of prison fights. There's like kind of a hierarchy of, as with any good prison movie, you've got like the prison bosses, and they all have their little gangs beneath them, and they're all kind of vying for position there. But then in comes Ricky, who kind of is this figure of like justice. Like he comes into this prison. He's kind of like, I think, I don't know about wrongly in prison, but he at least has decent reasons for being here. But then like the weaker prisoners who are like killed by, the bullies, as it were, he stands up for them. He like cares about them quite a bit, and then he like seeks his revenge on those people. It's a lot of fun. It is very gory. There's some gnarly stuff in here. Like at one point, they take a wood plane and like he like shaves part of this guy's face off using a wood planer. So it's not as much blood as something like Tokyo Gore Police or Meatball Machine, but when it does come, it's certainly impactful. There is a fair amount of it, and like it is very gory. I think like the physicality of it is still there, even if they're not drenched in as much blood.
Yeah.
Um, yeah.
Yeah, this one is a lot of fun. What I would say about this one is, I did an episode not too long ago where I was dissing on superhero movies, and someone on our YouTube channel asked, "Hey, Angela, don't you like any superhero movies?" And I listed some ones I like, but when I was watching this, I'm like, this is a superhero
Hmm.
movie,
Yeah.
essentially, though done right. Not a bunch of CGI, and it's not overly long, and et cetera, et cetera. Because Ricky is really a superhero, like you said. He fights for the little guy. He has ridiculous powers that are like beyond ridiculous. And people would watch this and go, it's so unrealistic. Well, yeah, so is Superman. The scene that cracked me up the most is like early on when he punches someone for the first time, and he punches a guy in the stomach, and the guy's entire insides
Yeah.
just fly out of his body with one punch. I was like, wow, you don't, even Superman can't do
Yeah.
that. There is that level of, when you finish the movie, you realize like he really didn't have to be in prison at all. Like
No.
he could have just pretty much destroyed the prison on day one and then been out of there if he's that strong. But then you wouldn't have a movie, right?
But he's
So
also not concerned with that. Like, I don't think he's as bothered by being in prison. I think he's reflecting on things that are happening, and like he's kind
okay.
of just a chill guy going through life who he just gets pushed the wrong way, by these bullies and things, and then he has to fight back.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, I get it. Yeah. So it's a lot of fun. The bad guys are really bad, and you want to see him hurt them, and he does many times. And there's these different characters in the prison that gang up with him, and it's just a lot of fun. I could definitely see. Oh gosh, I'm going to forget the name of the movie right now, but that director Craig Zoller worked with Vince Vaughn on that Prison
yeah,
Break
prison,
movie. Some of the
Cell
influence.
Block 30.
Yeah, you know which one?
Yeah,
Yeah, the
yeah,
cell
yeah.
block
I was
something. I
totally
mean,
thinking of
obviously
that.
that one's not as over the top, but like there was elements I thought, oh,
I
he
love a
definitely
good
saw
prison
this
movie
movie.
like that. Like I was
Yeah.
thinking of that. I was thinking of like Female Prisoner Scorpion, that whole series.
Oh yeah,
Like
yeah.
there is a lot of that in
Good Prison
here.
Break movie. Yeah, and
Hmm.
this one is the director. Is this Taiwanese or Hong Kong? I can't remember,
This
but
is a Hong Kong
Hong
film.
Kong
Yeah.
film. Yeah.
However, we have to qualify too. It's really interesting. I think one of the things that makes this movie great too is it's based on a manga. So it's based on a Japanese manga, but you really feel that, like we talked about earlier, one of the great qualities of these kinds of movies is when they lean into those, super comic or like manga adaptation or whatever. Like they're not
Very
afraid to be
cartoonish. Yeah.
cartoons.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, the characters, the everything from the kid that just eats everything in front of him to the evil prison overlord. Everyone is so comedic. To the other prison guy, the warden who has only one eye. I mean, just
Hmm.
it's very over the top and a lot of fun. This one is on Criterion Channel, which I found hilarious that it was on there because they don't tend to have a lot of these types of movies. They didn't have Tokyo Gore Police or Meatball Machine, but this one must have risen to some other level that it was, I think it's part of their Hong Kong package that they're featuring right now. So that's why it was in there. But I thought that was that amused me, I guess. That it was like, I'm watching the Criterion Channel for the biggest
Yeah.
snobs, and there's just like people getting their guts punched out for an hour and
Hmm.
a half straight.
And
So,
it's so, so good. It's so fun.
yes.
And I also have to mention for any big Hong Kong movie fans, Lam Suet, one of my favorite bit players in any like Hong Kong films, he has a part in here. He's like one of the goons for one of the guys. It's really fun. He's in a lot of Johnny To films. So if you've seen Johnny To films, I'm sure you've seen Lam Suet.
Is he
And
the guy that's kind of chunky,
uh-huh,
who's
he's
always
got
in
the
all the Johnny
mole
To
and he's
films?
got
Yeah,
like
he's
the
got that
really
mole.
long,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
He's a distinctive actor. I've seen him in the Johnny
I
To
love
films. So,
him. I'm always so
yeah.
happy to see him.
But he always plays like the biggest dunce. I mean, he often plays a duncy characters. He's not always the smartest guy in the room in his movies. I thought maybe he would be typecast. On the other hand, you look at him, you're like, a guy who looks like that with a big mole on his face. I mean, he's getting work as an actor. He's probably okay. He's probably
Yeah.
happy to be getting
Here's
consistent
the
work.
thing, being a great actor is not defined by your range per se. There's so many great actors that are like good at this one thing and they just really nail it every time.
Yeah,
And that's
yeah.
like a lot of bit players, and he's great at what he does. He's so perfect in all the roles he's cast in, even if they're a lot of the time very similar.
Exactly. Yes. Okay. Well, I liked that one. Actually, I liked all of these, even Meatball Machine. I don't think I gave that 3 stars, but there, maybe I did. But
You
that
did.
was my least favorite. But Riki-Oh is really good, and Tokyo Gore Police. But I have to say, the next one is my favorite.
Mm.
Braindead, released in the U.S. as Dead Alive. And I'm not sure why, although when you Google Braindead, there's another movie that came out around the same time called Braindead with Bill Paxton, so maybe that's why. It's a 1992 movie by Peter Jackson. You know that guy that went on to do the Lord of the Rings movies. Well, he started his career in New Zealand doing low budget horror films. And then he went wrong at some point. But anyway, we won't
Right.
get into my opinion of the Lord of the Rings movies. But yeah, it was released in the US as Dead Alive. It's a New Zealand zombie comedy splatter movie. And it is about a man named Lionel who lives with his mother, and he's a real mama's boy, and he lets her pretty much push him around. And the mother, Vera, is an extremely wild woman, just very like an over the top, terrible mother character.
Helicopter mom for sure.
Helicopter of her grown man. I mean, they say
Hmm.
the description online says he's a young man. And I'm like, I don't know if it's just that New Zealand people aged. Everybody looks like he's in his 30s, so he's not that
Hmm.
young. Anyway, he meets a woman named Paquita, who is played by this actress who's absolutely terrific. Never seen her in anything else. And he gets, enthralled with her. They go to the zoo, and Vera follows them because she's a creepy mother who's stalking her grown man on his date. She gets bitten by a hybrid rat monkey creature, and she begins to transform into a zombie. But he's a good son, so he tries to keep her kind of locked up in the basement of the house, but it doesn't work so well, and other people start getting bitten. And then before you know it, we've got a cannibalistic zombie infected nightmare happening. The key here, though, is that this movie is New Zealand, and one thing I will say about the Australians and the New Zealanders, they have a really bizarre sense of humor. When you watch their comedies, or even a lot of their dramas, which have comedy in them, maybe not even intentionally, they have a very weird sense of humor, and it either works or it doesn't work for you. Here in Braindead, I think it really works because the movie is so over the top. There's so much splatter. There were so many great sequences in this. One of my favorite ones is at one point Lionel is running, but there's so much blood on the ground, it becomes almost like a treadmill, and he's just running in this blood, and he's not actually moving because the blood is like keeping him
Yeah.
from. I mean, there was just one thing after another. There's so much blood in this movie. I mean, the other ones are bloody, but I felt like the amount of blood, like the walls, everything. I thought their budget must have been spent mostly on blood.
Hmm.
It's so good. And then the Paquita character, I love. This one also has a romance, and I love Paquita because she's just like not having any of it. She's just like trying to kill zombies, and any way things she finds around the house, she's killing them, and it is super fun.
Hmm. Incredibly creative movie, right? Too. We think of zombies
Oh
and we're
yeah.
like, oh yeah, they're like kind of shambling around, they bite people, they get gross, their skin falls off, whatever. But no, this is, I think it distinguishes itself from other things in this vein because it's not your regular zombies either. These guys are literally unkillable. Whereas most of the time, if you like decapitate a zombie or hit its brain or whatever, it dies. Not the case here.
Oh, they
You
just
can
keep walking
cut
around.
Yeah, you can cut the head off and that head will keep jumping after you. Or like, even if you reduce it to nothing and like it's just a pile of guts, then those organs themselves are going to attack you. Like they're just it's crazy to watch. So they get really, really creative with the different things you can do with the human body. It's so much fun. I mean, I can't even there's so many fun kills and fun things that they do with these corpses that like I couldn't even begin to list off all the ways because I would just spend the
I
whole
want to
time
watch it
doing it.
again because I feel like it was so much that I couldn't even take it all in, to be honest.
Yeah.
Like there's
And
so
like you
much
said,
happening on the screen.
it's so, so funny. I'm constantly laughing through this film. The jokes are great. They all land. I just have a total blast with this. And the effects are incredible, right? Not only creative, like I said, but they're really, really well done. All the makeup is really, really good. The props and things that they use are really, really well executed. At one point, spoiler alert at the end, there is the mom becomes a giant monster that's like seriously like, ogre size, like 20 feet tall kind of thing. And it was really, really impressive. I was really like amazed how they pulled it off. Like it looks really, really good. And like you get these full shots of the entire thing walking up the stairs. And the whole time I'm like, how did they even do that? Right? Like how, I don't know. Like, I mean, it's clearly got some budget, but like I was just super impressed by
But I
the
don't think it's a
scale of
high
what they were able
budget
to pull
movie
off.
because, they're using local actors, it's
Exactly.
not like a
Yeah.
big, yeah. I mean, you're watching it going, how did the guy that went on to make the Lord of the Rings Two Towers make this thing? How can this be the same director? I mean, I know people love the Lord of the Rings movies, and that's fine. If you love them, I didn't love them. I liked them fine. They're fine. I think he peaked at Heavenly Creatures. Unpopular opinion. That's me. I think that's Peter Jackson's best film. I'm standing by that. This movie, though, I mean, I wish some of these guys, and I think of Guillermo del Toro in the same way, like bring back some of the fun from their early
Hmm.
movies when they had no budgets. Like, I know you have a budget now, but can you go back to it? Because now Peter Jackson's making movies like the Beatles documentary, which I watched, by the way, and I thought it was terrible. So it's like, what are you doing, man? Like, just go back, give this guy just $100,000 and see what he can make with it. Or, hey,
Hmm.
just give him $1 million and see what he could make with it again. Because obviously he has the goods. You see it here on the screen. That between the humor and the screenplay and the actual look of it, that's the thing I liked about it. This movie was just fun to watch. The
Hmm.
colors popped, the scenery, between the house and the cemetery and all the things outside the house, the zoo. I mean, there's lots of good sets to watch. That was one of my issues with some of these other films where I felt it was a little flat. Like I wanted to keep watching. Like, where are they going to end up now? So it
Hmm.
was just visually, just a lot of diversity in the visuals.
Yeah,
So,
some really great characters too. Like each of them feels distinct and fun in their own
oh
way.
yeah, they're all crazy, but
They
yeah.
ha it has the best priest you're ever going to see in any movie. It's super fun. I love him so much. He has an incredible line delivery that I don't want to spoil, but like I
Oh, the
just
one where he stands up and he's saying, "Yeah, yeah, yeah." That's like
uh-huh,
it could
yeah,
be
they're
like
in
the
the
tagline for
cemetery.
the movie. Like, this is what I can't even remember, but yeah, yeah, yeah. I don't want
Yeah.
to spoil it, I
It's
guess. So,
so, so much fun though. Like I adore this movie. Highly, highly recommend. So much blood. So
so
fun.
hard to find, except for it is on
Yeah.
YouTube, the full version. It's not on any streaming service. I have no idea why. Maybe Peter Jackson's trying to bury it, haha, pun intended. But it is on YouTube, so find it there. I don't know why it's not on any streaming service. It should be.
It's one of his
Criterion.
best. It's really one
Criterion,
of his
put it out
best.
with Heavenly
Yeah.
Creatures. Okay, well, that's it for Gore Galore. Thank you for watching. As always, have a great day and great movies. Bye bye.
Bye.
So, what would you say was your favorite out of the four?
I'm kind of torn. I mean, probably Tokyo Gore Police, but like that and Braindead are like neck and neck. I think, like I said, Tokyo Gore Police appeals just to particular special interests that I have. Like, I was talking about the influences that it has and the way it's shown in there. And like, I really have fun picking up on those things and pulling them
Yeah.
out of the movie and then, interrogating them.
Obviously,
I
I
also,
don't get it at that level, so that's probably why for
yeah,
me.
and I think it's again the world building, like that's what really stuck out to me this time I watched it because I've seen it 3 times now. Is like the world building that they do, like not only like the commercials and things that hint to a world outside of what you're seeing, where everyone's again like inured to violence and psycho or whatever, but like the strip club scene was so much fun. I thought that was wonderful. It really kind of fleshes out, pun intended,
Flushes.
yeah, a different aspect to it all. I love all the different freaky girls that they had dancing. I love that when they're like all the guys, all the Johns are like, I want this girl, I want this girl. The first one to be chosen is the snail girl with like she's got the snail shell and like the eyes out to here.
Yeah, yeah.
And like she's chosen before the more traditionally beautiful woman who just has like mouths in her boobs or something.
Yes.
But
I
I
like how you're
love
like, here's where
it.
they are. No, that's going to be
Like
on camera now forever. Thanks, Angela. Um,
it's
yeah,
so
no,
fun.
I enjoyed that one. I think I like Braindead. I have an affinity for British humor, British styles, New Zealand, Australian. A lot of it's just quirky humor. And I do think certain cultures do certain things well. And maybe this is going to sound racist isn't the right word, but like I feel like I don't think Americans are as funny as the British. Like British people, in fact, I saw this British comedian not too long ago, and he was talking about this trend of like good-looking British people. He's like, no, we have two jobs as British people. We're supposed to be funny, weird-looking, and funny. Like we need to like stop trying to be good looking like
Mhm.
Americans and like getting their teeth fixed and stuff. He was anyway.
Mhm.
I thought it was really funny because it's true. To me, like that style of humor, they just do that like a the wryness of it. They can pull it off in a way that I feel like almost no other cultures can.
That's
And
what I was
so
thinking. I think British humor appeals to us a little bit more because of our personalities, because it's a little more self-deprecating. There's a lot more bite to it
yeah, not
than a
everyone
lot of
likes it.
American humor, right? Yeah, it's very it's got a little bit more of an edge, which I think is a lot of
There's
fun.
actually early on when I first moved to Salem, I was invited to a friend's house, Aaron, and he did a Monty Python showing. And I had actually never seen Monty Python movies, even though I'd seen a lot of John Cleese stuff growing up with my parents, like Faulty Towers and all that. And I absolutely loved them. And he invited all these people from the newspaper where I worked, and about half the room absolutely were just in just tears laughing. And the other half were like, this is not funny. There is nothing funny. They could not understand it. They thought it was stupid. And I thought, there's British humor. You either get the self deprecating, wry thing or you don't get it. And it's like, it's black. And I don't think there's anything wrong with it if you don't like it. I just think I like that style of humor.
Hmm.
And
And it may be
so
stupid, but it's funny stupid. And that's an important distinction. It's fine to be dumb if it's for comedic
it's actually
effect and it
funny. And
actually
some of it
works.
is subtle because
Yeah.
it takes you a minute. You go, oh, wait. So, like in Brain Dead, for instance, the one where she puts the zombie in the blender,
Uh-huh. Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
and you think, oh, it's going to be this big mess, but then there's a and then it pops back out. Just keep trying to kill her because the blender actually just makes it fly through the air. I thought, oh, that's good. That's good.
Hmm.
Like I didn't see that coming. When something shows me something I haven't seen before with the amount of movies that we watch, I'm like, okay, extra star there because I did not see that coming in a million
Hmm.
miles. I thought for sure it was just going to I thought it was like a Gremlins moment. It's going to get ground up in the blender or get, something's, and that's it. And then when it popped back out, I thought, good job, Peter Jackson.
Yeah. So I really love the fact that they are unkillable. Like when that little pile of organs that's not even a body anymore starts moving on its own, it becomes this little creature, and then it like looks at itself in the mirror, and
Right.
it's like, oh, what am I? This is so interesting. And then it goes on to like, start trying to kill people and everything. It's
Yeah.
just so much
Just
fun.
like some
Like,
intestines walking around on their own or
yeah.
whatever. Yeah, yeah. No, I mean that's the humor part that I loved. So anyway, thank you for
Hmm.
turning me on to those. I really do
Yeah.
think it's shocking Braindead isn't even on like,
Right?
Prime or something
It's
for
so
rent. You
good.
can't
It's
even get it
so
on
good.
demand.
There
So
must be some crazy rights issues that it's
yeah.
tangled up in because like
I'd be
it's a
curious
great
about that.
film.
Yeah, I'm really
Yeah.
curious, and I hope it's not that Peter Jackson doesn't want people to see it because he's embarrassed or some stupid thing like
Yeah.
that. He's like, I did important movies later, and blah blah blah.
Talk about a film that I want to see get a 4K release, right? I want that one to have an Ultra HD because that would be so fun to
Oh yeah,
watch.
with
Like,
all the color saturation would be cool.
yeah,
Yeah,
like it is a great looking film. I want to see it in its prime, you know?
yeah, yeah. Because like a YouTube version or whatever is not the same. So
Yeah.
anyway, thanks for recommending that one.
It's
That was
funny
fun.
too. Did you notice that it opens at Skull Island? Which is funny
Oh
because yeah, he later directs King Kong, which
yeah,
is
at
at
Skull
Skull
Island. Yeah, yeah,
Island.
yeah.
Yeah, like so he's
He's like, I never need to leave New Zealand because it has all this scenery, right? But yeah,
hmm.
but King Kong, not one of my favorite movies. See, again,
No, yeah.
Peter
He's fun
Jackson,
when
what
he's doing
happened?
schlock. He needs to be schlockier.
Yeah, he needs to go back to that. Forget about the
Hmm.
Beatles and important, stop basing your movies on novels. That's the
Yeah.
thing. Or, I guess King Kong isn't a novel, but you know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
Hmm.
Just go back to doing original stuff. The reason I think Heavenly Creatures is so great is it's like the segue between, it's a horror film in a lot of ways, so it still has some really gory stuff, but it's more serious like his later stuff. So I think it
Hmm.
marries the best. And, it's Kate Winslet and Melanie Linsky as lesbians, so
Hard
what's
to
not
go
to love?
wrong.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
just like, it's awesome. It's just such a perfect movie, I think. So anyway,
Hmm.
okay, that's it. Goodbye.